Okay, there we go. Coming in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Walkoff Mariners edition. We've expanded. It was the Blue Jays. Now we got two new co-hosts covering the Mariners. I'm joined by my partner in crime, Jordi Bott. He's a virgin.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm the other co-host. I'm Juan Forno, and we got a lot to discuss. It was not a good week.
We picked probably the worst week to start this. we should have done it in August.
Yeah, dropped 2 of 3 to the Reds, and then came up small and dropped 3 of 4 to the Rays. 2 and 5 overall in the week. Not what we're looking for.
No.
What do you think needs to improve?
Bullpen was probably, I think, the biggest weakness. We gave away 3 losses. There were 3 games that we should have won, gave it away in the end. That's got to be it. You got to get some help from the bullpen, whether it's pulling someone up or just giving some guys some rest or something. But they are spent right now.
Yeah, they're spent. And Luke Weaver going down now to be an option. He's not a long option anymore. Starters are not going nearly as deep as we need them to. Or in some cases, maybe going a little too deep.
Yeah, according to some anyway.
According to some. Yeah, let's start there then. Why don't we start with George Kirby put together a solid start after starting real rough in the first inning, just not being able to locate that fastball. Putting in a good effort. I agree with sending him out in the 7th. I don't agree with keeping him in with a runner on 3rd. If it's me, if I'm Scott, and obviously he's where he is for a reason, and I am where I am for a reason. But in that situation, as soon as Kirby lets a runner on base, I think you got to go to the pen in the 7th. But I think it comes back to, starters not going long enough and that bullpen being spent, and that's why he stretched Kirby longer than he probably should have there.
Yeah, it's a tough call too, because you're like, well, it's almost a lose-lose. You're just kind of keeping him in there and hoping for the best. But on the other hand, if you can't trust your bullpen, then are you really what's the difference? What's going to make a difference in the playoffs?
Yeah,
you need to be able to trust your bullpen.
I think he also knew that Saturday was going to be a bullpen day.
Oh yeah.
So that's something to factor in there too, because he's going to think to himself, okay, I got to cover, 9+ innings with just the bullpen.
Yeah. No, it's a tough stretch because they are 2 really good teams right back to back, and then no breaks either. That's another tough part about it.
No. So they just did 7 this week and open up tomorrow, or today if you're watching this tomorrow, against the LA teams. How did you feel about George's comments after the game?
I didn't disagree with the sentiment behind the comments, but I think that's one of those things, especially when you're supposed to be one of the guys in that rotation. He's the number 2 starter. He should be fighting. He should be going, no, that's on me. Something like that. It's one of those things. You almost got to keep it to yourself. I know, and there is definitely frustration, but yeah, I wasn't happy with the comments. It's one of those things. That's a conversation for behind closed doors.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there too. He's somebody that they see as a leader and a front man of the rotation for the near and long future, we hope. Yeah, you got to own that man, and that almost makes me nervous to give him the ball in the playoffs. I know he showed up last year in the playoffs, but man, I want my starting pitchers to have that killer mentality and want.
Yeah, they need to go out there. They want to They want to be the hero.
I want to see Blake Snell fighting to not get pulled in the 6th inning by the Tampa Bay Rays because he's
exactly.
That's the kind of mentality I want out of those guys. So, but I think whether he came to that realization or not, or whether he came to that realization or somebody came and said, "Hey, motherfucker, listen, that's not how we do things." And there are leaders on that team, guys like Gino and these veteran players, Luis Castillo. I don't know if they can communicate. I know Luis doesn't really speak a lick of English, but I feel like somebody went to him and said, "Hey, man, that even if that's the case, that's a conversation between the team and not comments made to the media. So
Yeah, because he did follow it up, and I don't know how much I really believed his follow up comments after that. I think there was someone go up to it might have even been Scott Service going up to him afterwards, and because he is a very calm dude, he would have been like, "Hey, let's hash this out before it becomes a problem."
mm-hmm. Yeah,
And his Scott's comments were really good about it too. He was just like, "Hey, there's frustrations, things happen. We're just going to move past it," which that's definitely the best way to handle it on his end.
yeah, yeah. I think you got to, and that's the thing, right? Some players get special treatment because depending on who made those comments, the reaction might be a little bit different. But obviously, George Kirby is a guy that's going to be around for a long time on a cheap rookie contract, and giving you those quality innings. So hopefully he learns from that mistake and they move on. I like the fact that they were able to what feels like or seems like squash it before it becomes a toxic problem in the clubhouse. So.
Yeah, I think they were able to just kind of shut it down. They're like, we need to deal with this before it's a real problem.
Yeah.
We can't have too many tensions going on when we're trying to make a playoff run.
Yeah. Sticking with pitching on the team and given the bullpen woes, do you think that Dipoto is maybe questioning his decision to trade Seawald?
Oh, man. It was like, I understand the mentality of it because he was like, oh, well, he's going to walk because there was no way they were going to re sign him in the offseason. So to get something back at the time, we're like, oh, cool. We got three pretty decent players. There could be some upside. But now, after watching this, and not to mention how well Seawald is pitching in Arizona, now it's kind of we're almost getting the like what if situation. And yeah, I would love to have Seawald right now. And if he walks for nothing, if that means we still get a division win, I'll take winning the division and losing him for nothing. I would make that trade in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and I know like there's something to be said about what their record was at the trade deadline and them needing second base help, and I feel like it's so that trade has solidified that position a little bit, better than it was, but still not great. Um, I don't love subtracting from the big league club, and I think overall it was a subtraction, especially seeing how the later parts of the bullpen have been throwing lately. So it's tough to see for sure.
And I was kind of hoping it would almost be like the situation, what was it, 2021, when they traded Graveman and brought in Diego Castillo, just kind of turn around and flip to bring in a closer. I was hoping maybe that would be a strategy. Maybe it was, but either way, it didn't happen. So
right, like go out and try and nab like a Kenley Jansen or something like that.
yeah, just get a different closer who's available, some bullpen help, and then also shoring up second base.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Let's switch to the offensive side. Who do you want to start with offensively?
I want to talk about Julio. What do you get? 6 home runs in this span? That was
6 and 8 games, something like that.
Yeah, and 7 RBIs.
Yeah, I thought if I'm not, yeah, I don't like for me personally. I think he should be in that 3 hole. JP's done a great job in the 1 hole. The only issue with moving Julio to the 3 hole is like I don't know who the 2 hole hitter is, right? Like I think you probably would like that to see, Gino be in that position, in my opinion. I think Cal is more of a 5 hole guy. Teo's a 4 guy. So I would like to see Julio in the 3 hole, but we don't really have anybody that can fill in that 2 spot, in my opinion. So
yeah, it's tough, especially he's your best home run hitter right now lately, and he's leading off. It's
yeah.
not unfun. You can't really get a bunch of runs when your leadoff hitter is your best power hitter.
No, and I know that's kind of been switching the mentality. You look at like Philly with Kyle Schwarber hitting in the leadoff spot, putting that power bat. I think he's got like 41 home runs this year out of the leadoff hole.
And about 38 singles too, which is a fun statistic.
That is maybe my favorite statistic. That's the Frank Thomas Blue Jays statistic right there.
That's the most exciting player in baseball. Just nothing but dingers.
Yeah.
A big boy hitting dingers right at the beginning of the game. That's what baseball needs.
Yeah, fuck seeing pitches, right? Leadoff hitter has changed, buddy. I
You're
want
not taking daddy
6'4",
hacks on pitch
240.
number one. Why are you in the majors?
Bro, I will say JP has done a good job at first pitch home runs this year.
Oh
Lead
yeah, 15 dingers right now for him. That's a
not,
wild number.
why not? I mean, we're counting runs, right? So
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
gotta
enjoying him
show
this year.
I gotta show love to Ty. I think Ty is breaking out. Viva la
Yeah,
France.
he must have been hurt for a while the last couple of bit because it just seemed like he wasn't getting any power behind his swings. But even today, if you did you watch the game today?
Yeah, he had good at bats.
Yeah, and he had hit the ball hard. They were right to the outfielders, unfortunately, but he was getting good wood behind those hits. So it's good to see him. But also I always just assume he's hurt because the guy gets hit by every single pitch. Like
He's at what, 28, 29 right now?
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, man, I remember, I think it was my freshman year. I got hit 32 times. And it just became a game to me. It got to the point where I just refused to move out of the way. That pitch was going to hit me. I was going to wear it, and I wanted to see how high I could get that total number.
I think the even bolder strategy would be to swing and let it hit you and stare at the pitch and be like, I know. You're not getting rid of me this easily.
I think it was Albert Bell back in it's an old clip back in the 80s. And he gets hit, and it's obvious that he gets hit, and he's like, no, I'm hitting. I am not taking that base. It's the ninth inning.
That's a slow pitch maneuver. You're like, no way.
Like I'm not taking the walk. Okay.
Call it a strike. I don't care.
I'm not going anywhere.
I love baseball. But yeah, no, Ty had a good game. I do think he should have had that ball that was hit to him at first base. I can't remember what inning it was. It would have been near the end of Miller's run, but it led to 2 runs. And they did mark it up as a hit, but I think he still could have had it. He's one of the better defensive first basemen in the league, so I would have liked to see him have that one.
At the very least, he's got to get his body in front of it.
Yeah, knock that down.
Yeah,
save at least a run, especially too because it ended up being 5-0 afterwards, but it was good to see the offense come out and still put up 3 against Eflin.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. I was like, okay, you're down 5-0. Your pitcher's struggling. It's easy to roll over and think about going home.
Especially when you're up against one of the best pitchers in the AL right now.
Yeah, and they didn't do that. They strung some hits together. Haggerty came through. You always love to see those bottom line contributions, and it's not all bad. It's not like they're losing to bad teams. The Reds are right there in the playoff hunt in the wild card. They could still catch the Brewers, if I'm not mistaken, in the Central, and then losing to the Rays. The Rays is one of the best teams. In the MLB, not just the AL. So it's not like they lost to scrubs. It's not like they weren't competitive. They were leading for a significant amount of the series.
Yeah, as frustrating as it is to have those blown leads, it's like, well, we were still in it with the big dogs.
Yeah.
We just got to be able to close those out. That's what makes so.
And I mean,
maybe
the bullpen is supposed to be a strength. So.
Maybe that day off coming up on Thursday will help. At least we're going up against a weak team leading into it.
Yeah. And no staffing necessary for the Angels series. I think it's Gilbert, Wu, and Castillo, if I'm not mistaken. I did a terrible job of doing my research before we recorded today because the Eagles were playing. So here we are.
That happens. I had the probables and then I had to restart my computer.
Yeah, and that was all my fault too. So I'm dropping the ball early.
All right, I got it right here. Yeah. So we've got Gilbert, Wu, and Castillo. So no, you were right.
Yeah,
you showed your hand. You showed your hand too early.
Look, I don't even have it in front of me, and I knew that because I saw a graphic earlier today, and that's all I'm going off of. Which brings me to my sports betting marquee matchup of the week. For me, I'm going Logan Gilbert. I think the popular pick would be Luis Castillo, but Gilbert has been lights out lately. They've been winning. And also, I think Reed Detmer's a shit. I just lost my co-host.
Oh, no. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Oh, man. Let me adjust my camera.
I'm going to be honest with you. The only selling feature we have in this entire podcast is Sexy Jordi.
All right, maybe. Oh, there we go. Just had to shut it off and turn it back on.
There she is.
Tried and true method. I don't have a webcam, so I'm running like my normal camera that I do like cooking videos. It looks like a professional setup. Like,
yeah.
So it's not the cleanest. There's a lot of wires.
I got so many wires over here. What I was saying was I'm going Logan Gilbert for my betting marquee matchup of the week. I trust Gilbert. I don't trust Detmers. The Angels have obviously called it in. What a dog shit organization they are right now. Ohtani can't get out of there fast enough. So
did you see the news? They're also open to trading Trout if he wants to.
They have to do him right at this point. They're not going to be able to surround him with a player as good as Ohtani. There's no other play. It's him. He is him.
Well, and not to mention, what was it? 2 years ago, they had a draft of just pitchers.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of hitting coming up in Los Angeles right now.
And I think like Trout has been there long enough and done enough to the point where you got to do right by him. You got to let him go try and win one.
Yeah.
I think they're going to,
or at least get a third playoff game under his belt.
Third playoff game. What a joke. You got to go give him a chance to, you got to set him free like a peacock, man. So I don't think they're going to get a great return for him because of his contract and health issues. It could be a situation much like when Ichiro was traded to the Yankees.
Wait a little too long.
Yeah. They should have obviously, in hindsight, is different, but they should have traded Ohtani at the trade deadline this year too. But
they wanted to go for it and hope they could hold on to him, but that failed miserably.
And they're gonna pay for that for years. So they get.
I'm okay with it though. I got no issues.
That's fine if them and Oakland want to continue being.
Yeah, I got Texas and Houston to worry about right now. Angels can implode for all I care. And let them have it.
To be fair, is Texas even a worry right now? They have also been not good.
Yeah, no, and that's great too, because especially that's kind of the saving grace with the Mariners kind of on this cold spell for me anyway, is that I'm like, well, we still have 6 against Texas. So the fate is still in our hands.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally in their control, man. They got plenty of divisional games left. So
yeah, obviously, like stress-wise, I would like them to just win and make these 6 games meaningless. I think my doctor who prescribes my blood pressure meds would also appreciate that, but
in everybody's best interest, for sure. for sure. They got a lot of sodium intake. My blood pressure is high too.
Yeah.
Let's go to the segment Things I Think. Question for you, very simple, one-line question. Who has a bigger dumper? This is something I want to bring up every week, and it'll be Cal versus somebody else. Who has the bigger dumper, Cal or Kim Kardashian?
Oh, man. Bigger, like, I think it's Kimmy K, but nicer. Like, Cal's is just natural working out, and that's an earned dumper.
Yeah, that's a catcher's dumper right there for sure.
I also got really excited about that question because we straight up had this conversation in one of my fantasy baseball group chats.
Which I'm not a part of. I want to put out there.
No. So when you were like, okay, who's got a bigger dumper, Cal I think the one that they established, I was arguing for Cal, but Sean Murphy was the consensus winner in that one.
Okay, interesting.
Well, he's got that gift too, where he sticks his ass out and.
Oh yeah.
You can't compete with that.
It's like the scene from Sandlot. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Oh yeah, when Murphy saw that ball coming to his hips, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go viral with this one."
And it did, man. That was a nice,
solid I still can't get over that thing. That was a great at bat. Use what your mama gave you.
That's fair. That is fair. Who's your slump buster of the week?
I gotta go JP.
Yeah.
JP didn't have the best week hitting wise. Like I was looking at the numbers from the last week. He put up like a 45 weighted runs created. So I think he's going to come back. He's going to come back to Seattle too. He loves it there. So he's going to be at home. He's going to go up against some weak pitching. He's going to have a good week.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
even I'll even set an over under at 2.5 home runs. I'm taking the over. I think he's hitting 3 home runs this week.
3 home runs. Wow, we're not even talking hits. We're talking home runs. Ding dong.
No, I think he's got 3 homers in the system.
Wow. That is a hell of a call. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Andres Munoz. Is my slum buster of the week. With that Seawall trade, he knew he was gonna be the guy, and he just has not been that guy. He's got to be better.
Oh yeah.
He's got to be better. So,
Well, and 3 days in a row is pretty rough already for him. But I think he was hurt. It should be day to day. And I think that little break that they're going to give him with this injury or whatever you want to call it, that could really benefit them.
here's hoping, man.
If he comes back just rejuvenated, that's probably one of the better ways to wrap up the season.
I think you're right. I think you have to be correct. That's all I have in my notes. What do you got?
Well, I also did notice our buddy Matt Brash had a phenomenal week. Looking at the numbers, and even when he was pitching, he was looking really good out there. I was super happy with Brash. Once again, love that trade.
It's a good trade. That one worked out all right.
That if Brash keeps going for a few more years, that might end up as one of Jerry's best trades. Not Scotty, as much as I love Scott.
That was
Another guy I want to talk about who had a really good week is Mike Ford.
Mike Ford contributing, bottom of the order guy. You'd love to see it. Yeah. I didn't think much of it when he came on board, but yeah, no, he's done everything you could have asked him to. And he's in there for the long ball.
Yeah.
He's an all or nothing guy, and he's contributing in a way that isn't just that. He
He's
had
seen the ball.
Friday night or Thursday night. He had the RBI Thursday night and the 1-0 win. So
Yeah, and he's hitting the ball well. Like once again, weighted on base average by going that he was second on the team this week. Cal was first, 448, Ford at 418. So he had a great week, seeing the ball well, hitting it well, and that's once again the rest of the offense outside of a couple guys was pretty average. So when you can have a guy like that stepping up to have a really good week, you really need that, especially when you're pitching, which is usually supposed to be the best. Kind of falters a little bit. It's good to have guys like that almost bail them out, even though there wasn't a lot of wins. But
how about let's over under 25 games for Teoscar Hernandez's current hit streak.
who do we got coming up? Oh, what's he at right now?
I believe it's 18 right now. I believe today was
18. Because he is going up against Kershaw.
Yeah,
on Friday. I think Kershaw is going to be the one who ends Teoscar's hitting streak.
Kershaw? Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm going to go over Kershaw only because I will be at the game Friday night. So I have to.
So you need this.
I need this, man. We got terrace seats. So yeah, we need a Mariners win against Kershaw. I want to see Teo keep that streak going.
I'm not going to be upset if I'm wrong on this one. I've been wrong before, so I'll take that. And Kershaw is a lefty, so
yeah. Do you think Teoscar is playing himself into another contract with Seattle?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I'm still worried that his heart is still in Toronto. Like, he loved it there. He loved that clubhouse. So I'm kind of concerned that first chance he gets, he's going to go back there.
See, I thought that too, but now here's my concern with him, potentially departing Seattle for Toronto. And I know our sister wives across from us at Walkoff Blue Jays probably want Teo back. But for me, if I'm Teoscar, I'm looking at the franchise stars in the organization. I'm looking at Julio, who signed for a better part of a decade. And then I'm looking across to Toronto and seeing Bo and Vladdy's time is slowly trickling in a manner where they're going to have some urgency. And, if they don't extend those two guys, I don't know if Toronto has enough to draw free agents in.
Yeah, no, they've certainly got lots of money, that's why I don't get why they're having such a hard time signing Bo and Vladdy. Like Rogers has got to just go, you know what, shell it out. We're gonna make money if we have these guys coming to games.
I mean, Vladdy
So no,
pretty pedestrian this year.
yeah, very, very all right numbers outside of a thrilling home run derby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he wasn't even the best one in the derby.
No, he did not have the best round.
Yeah, no, that is kind of a nice thing that Seattle does have. You are right, because we've got a lot of guys locked up, especially if we can get Gilbert's and Kirby locked up for a little longer too. I think it's going to be a lot easier to start bringing in these free agents. And yeah, maybe Hernandez is loving the locker room. I know a lot of players do, so maybe it's just not as well known how much he loves it as because yeah, Toronto, we couldn't get away from hearing how great it was.
Yeah. And that, yeah, we're kind of that new Toronto team. So hopefully we can get over the hump, unlike they didn't, unlike they could. But we'll see. But I think the locker room vibes are good. You got guys like Julio and Gino who are fun to play with, and they got that Latin flair that I love so much. I love to see these young cats go up.
Well, yeah, and you got JP, like great captain, and everyone loves Cal Raleigh. So
yeah,
maybe we just don't know how much Teoscar is enjoying it. Maybe he will be like, yeah, I'm loving this right now.
it's easy to say he wants to go back to Toronto when things aren't going good, but now that they are going good,
Yeah.
feels, like a
Well,
different.
yeah, I remember the trade deadline. I was like, they can send him back to Toronto, whatever. He's all right. And then all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and tear the cover off the ball. Don't mind me.
Yeah, it'll be Acuna, Julio, me. All right, not sure where that came from after what we saw at the start of the season, but cool, good man.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting him a little more at bats at DH though.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there.
Still not the biggest fan of him in the outfield, but if he has fun DHing when Kelnick gets back, heck yeah, throw him in there.
Why not, right? So Kelnick, fuck, don't even get me started. Who do you think are targets in the offseason for the Mariners?
Like, I haven't even really looked outside of what's available that's not named Ohtani. Like, my heart is just set.
Yeah.
And I know it's a big ask because we're going up against the money teams like the Mets and the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to shell out everything to try and bring him aboard. But man, I would love Ohtani.
The Dodgers for sure. The Dodgers for sure going to be a problem. I think the Padres are most likely going to be a problem. I do think it's going to be a West Coast team. I don't think the Mets are going to be in play after unloading all those contracts. And there's very few teams that realistically can afford him,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't even know if Seattle will pull out that money to try and bring him in.
Yeah, tough to say. I will say this, in Seattle, their superstars are on some of the most reasonable contracts. If you look at, what Luis Castillo signed for and what Julio signed for, if you made those guys free agents today, those contracts would look a lot different. So,
Oh yeah. No, they did a great job locking those guys down. Even JP,
yeah, no,
we got him for a couple more years on a reasonable contract. He's one of the best shortstops in the league all of a sudden. So that's good to see.
Yeah, and honestly, like Gino with his defense this year as well. I know we discussed it quite a bit, but he's giving Matt Chapman a run for his money for Gold Glove over there, in my opinion.
What is he, like, second in defensive runs saved in the AL or something? He's great on that hot corner.
Yeah. So,
I wouldn't mind seeing a little more production at the plate, just 18 home runs and a lot of strikeouts. You're going to strike out that much. I'd like to see a couple more dingers, but
yeah. For me, I definitely like him as like a 30 home run guy for sure. That's what you want to see. But he's going to creep up around that 100 RBI mark. So, you
Now,
off the season 22, 23 home runs. That's not the end of the world.
here is what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the upcoming free agents. And speaking of Matt Chapman, his name is on this list. He's a UFA.
He is on that list. That is correct. I don't
You think?
think it's a necessary. I think it's a pretty lateral move right now in terms of, where they're both at offensively and, the defense. Maybe you get a little bit more consistent defense from Matt Chapman, but I don't think it's enough to warrant that move for me personally. That's just my opinion.
What do you think is the biggest need for them in the offseason right now? What position would be your go-to?
For me, I want a second baseman.
All right, that makes sense.
If there's a obvious upgrade, like a guy like Pete Alonso, if we do like a Pete Alonso, Ty France, couple prospects trade, you could probably convince me of that. I don't know if Pete Alonso is going to be available. There was speculation, there was reports. Now there was also a report that said he was a bad clubhouse guy. If that's the case, definitely don't want to bring that in, mix up, and create those problems. But I think that right side of the infield is where they got to go, and maybe if we could get one more arm in the bullpen. I feel good.
Yeah.
Munoz, Topa, Brash,
I feel like you can just never really have too many bullpen pitchers. They get tired, they get hurt. It's always good to have some guys kicking around.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing to consider too is you're going to have guys like Ray and Gonzalez come back at some point next year as well. And so that, maybe you don't have to go out and sign arms. Maybe you got to trust better health and then maybe move a guy like Miller or Wu into the bullpen.
And Seattle also, the last couple of years, has just been doing this magic trick where they just get random dudes to be absolute stud relievers. So yeah. I don't, like, reputation-wise, I don't necessarily think they need to go out and spend all their money on a reliever. Like, they're probably just going to do another Rule 5 draft guy that turns out to be a stud like usual.
Hey, let's hope so. We got 2 minutes left. Any final thoughts for the upcoming week or the previous week that just passed?
I will quickly say, I remember at the beginning of the year, I was reading some reports. It was like ranking the number one starters on teams. And I think it was The Athletic. There were a couple places I saw this, but they were saying Castillo wasn't a real ace. And I think especially this past week when he came out, when they were kind of having a rough go and he came out and just put up a gem, I think he's solidified himself as an ace in this league.
Yeah, anybody that thinks Luis Castillo is not an ace doesn't know baseball. He's had a couple of tough starts this year for sure, but I mean, he's got what, a 3.08?
And he's also, I saw this another stat, he's went at least 5 every time. No one else has done that.
Yeah, you can rely on him to go bare minimum his 5, but usually more, so
yeah. So
yeah, that's a trash take. That's a garbage take. He was an ace in Cincinnati. He's been an ace. That's
what's been bothering me for the last 6 months. That story. Had to get it off my chest. What about you? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. We need a better week. I'd love to take 3 from Los Angeles and win the series against Los Angeles. I'll let you determine which one's which this week.
The only thing that I'm worried about for tomorrow's game is they're flying across the country tonight. So that's a little sketchy, but if you're flying cross country, at least you're playing the Angels afterwards. So
let's just hope they sent Logan Gilbert home last night.
Don't even bother coming to the stadium tomorrow. Go get your rest at home.
Wasn't going to pitch today. Don't need you here. See you later, kid. Go lay up in bed, rest.
That would have been a good move. Either way, I think he's one of the more guys that it doesn't matter. He's pretty cold. He's going to come out and give it all and no matter what.
Ready to go. That is it for volume 1. Go M's. I'm Juan Forno. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back next week.
Hell yeah. Hopefully with better news and results from the week.